Hello, Bin. Can you hear me? I just want to make sure my mic is working.
Hey, Susan.
Oh, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah, I can.
Okay, cool. Thanks for confirming. Yeah, we're just waiting for a couple of minutes for everyone to join.
Sure.
Hello, Kara. Hello, Akash.
Hi, Susan.
Hey, I think we have a few PRs to go through. Let's get started. The first one I put on the list. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep, we can see it.
Okay, cool. The first one, add go routine. Akash, I see Bin have added like some comments and you've responded to the comments. So I guess, Bin, do you have time to give it one more review? Akash, is there anything to discuss that you want to discuss with Bin on the call?
No, I think all the comments, Binbin, that you left are great. We should definitely overhaul the auth cache thing, but I think we should file an issue and then do that separately. But yeah, apart from that, I think I've addressed all the comments. So, yep.
And also, I will take another look today.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Cool. The next PR is add wrapper for HTTP response. I think we're just waiting for a documentation update from Eric.
Yeah, sorry, I still owe you docs on this. I've been working on that other the demo setup stuff, so I haven't pushed docs for this.
Yeah, no problem. Do you think you'll get to it this week?
Yeah, I should be able to get to this week, and then additionally, I'll have another PR. There were some changes for workload identity that got merged some time ago, but the changes for the chart did not. The chart didn't get updated to allow for those, so I have a PR that I'll add that will let you use workload identity. And Akash, I'll have to ask you about some stuff because there are some strange things that you have to do with setting certain values in the values YAML to be able to work for that.
Yep. Is this workload identity or the new MSI provider?
This is managed. This is AAD pod identity.
Okay. So separate from the workload identity stuff.
Yeah. It's just like you in values YAML, when you go to set that, you also randomly have to set some workload identity configuration values just because of the way the chart is laid out.
Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah, we can talk about this. Yep.
Okay.
Cool. I've put out a PR for the CRD, but it's not ready for review yet. I'll tag folks once it's ready. Then the pull secrets. I see, Akash, you've signed off on this PR. Do we know if this is a internal Microsoft contributor or external trying to just test Ratify out?
This isn't anyone that I know of internally.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't know who this is, but I mean, the changes seem reasonable. It's just adding an option for pull secrets, but if anyone else has a concern.
Yeah, what was the, I guess I can go review it.
Is the CLA approved?
It's the bot says so. All CLA requirements met. Oh, you have to for the build stuff. I think the first time somebody like makes a pull request, a maintainer has to approve the PR build.
Okay, I think Akash approved it. And Sajay, why do you ask if CELA requirements are met? Is there anything special for external contributors?
No, it's more like what they're submitting has to be signed off on behalf, and it's I think it's okay. Like it says that all requirements are met, so it should be fine. I haven't seen this in a while, but it should be fine.
Okay, what does this bot do exactly?
Basically, there are a couple of licensing issues that comes in when you contribute source to OSS. So you want to make sure that they have either signed off on those requirements before it gets merged in. Like you don't want them others taking source from random places and then kind of like moving it if they don't own it and things like that. So
I see. Yeah, we can take a look at the changes quickly. So they're adding a pull secret to the values YAML, and on deployment, they'll check if the pull secret's populated. So it looks good to me. After the end-to-end finishes, we can merge this.
Sure, sounds good.
Yep, and the last one, I see Akash, you've left some questions here. So I guess Bin will get back to you once he's reviewed your comments. Since morning just started, I think.
Sure, I'll take a look. And actually, because the build PR workflow was failing because I updated the notation Go version. So if you scroll down, so yeah, so the build PR workflow.
Yeah, so it's with Akash's comment here that the signature attached to our test image is from an older version of notation.
Yeah, you're right. So I think we need to update it as well.
So will this update so this is the notary libraries that Ratify is going to be using under the covers?
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. I think I have a blocker with this right now as well.
Yeah, so if we bump it up to the latest version, so everything should be working with the latest notation, CLI.
Jimmy, do you want to add more details? What did you say you were blocked on?
So in order to get notation working with ECR, we bumped it up. We bumped the notation up to 0.10 pre-release, but that had some bugs in it with respect to how it manages certs and keys under the covers. So I was just told today to use a new version, and I believe it is this 11 alpha 4. So but the issue I'm running into is that even with the version 10 that I finally got it working, or version 0.10 I finally got it working, Ratify wouldn't work with the signatures. It wouldn't verify the signatures. So I guess I'm hoping that this fixes the Ratify issue.
Yeah. It was fixed. I have tested it locally.
Okay.
So the build PR uses an existing signature on the image. Is that what it does?
Yeah, it's basically our quick start step.
I see. So it's actually calling out. So we can't generate a signature on the fly to actually validate it.
I think we can do that. Just need to update our test file.
Is the registry, is it calling the Ratify test registry for this one?
Yes, it's calling the Ratify ACR. So ideally we'd have the ORS local registry, and then we could use notation to sign.
Correct.
Test, yep.
Okay, so we can merge this in. We know it's a broken scenario anyway. It's only about the it's only that test that's breaking, right?
Yes.
So should we maybe open up an item to fix either the test signature or test or update this to use like a local registry or something? We can, so that this thing can go through with that issue opened.
Would this break our quick start steps as well? So anyone that's testing this project, so we need to update that image with the latest signature.
Right.
Would it make more sense to actually include the steps to sign an image so that they could say when notation updates, like this would be obviously there would be a min-max setting, but that way they could sign something and you wouldn't have to update the image yourself every time, or does it make sense to have quick start include a shipped image?
I think that's a fair question. We chose the easiest route, whether somebody doesn't have to go through the whole signing dance. But if that makes it easier, then maybe we can modify it.
I think we talked about this either last week or recently somewhere else, but I was team we shouldn't maintain like a toy image, because then we have to maintain a toy image. And anybody could come and pick up this project. They could pick up any number of versions of this project, and there's no way for us to necessarily keep that, or it will be increasingly difficult for us to keep images with appropriate signatures with some versioning in that registry. And at least in my opinion, like the quick start steps for signing something from notation is like notation generate test cert or something like that, and notation sign. So like I would be a fan of having that be part of, like, for a validation workflow, we could potentially do that with a local registry and take a version of notation that we know is compatible, generate a test cert, sign, and validate.
Okay, so can we open an issue to remove the test image and change the quick start to use the...
So I'm already working on this.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Sorry, I just joined actually. Yeah, I actually, this is what I've been working on in between little bits and pieces, but I actually have some progress made. I actually have the Wabbit Networks Netmon image that's used in the demos for notation. I have it forked right now, and I actually totally overhauled it. So that we actually, because the other problem, and I already filed an issue on this, is that the current Ratify test image actually crashes immediately, even when it successfully runs. And so I actually have it, it's in my fork right now, but I got it working locally, the container where you can pass in an argument for what the text is, as well as the sleep time. So before you can configure how long it is before it crashes. And then that way we can actually have, one Docker image that we can, when we build it, we can pass in, different like text messages for whatever, the actual, if people want to look at the log or whatever to see what, what it should be, on the cluster. Because I think it really is, I think I heard the comment from you, Eric, that we don't want to maintain it. I really think that it's really unavoidable, unfortunately, because if we're really going to do testing, we're going to have to maintain a set of images with different attributes to it. I mean, that's already on the backlog for Bin to go ahead and create the end-to-end test automation. And like right now, it's not as big of a deal. Like if, let's say, you know, an older version of notation doesn't work with, you know, a newer version of Ratify, but it will be a big deal once we're more like RC or GA. When customers start depending upon it and we break that, we need to be able to test previously signed images and future signed images as a test case to make sure things continue to work fine for Ratify.
So can we move to the latest version of notation for the quick start? I think that would at least set everything up, right? Like update the signature on the test image, update Ratify to whatever the new signature is, and then get everything okay, but we can then move to, okay, let's clean it up as well. Or maybe have the build PR not depend on that over time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so for sure, like I definitely, the test image replacement, that's the easy part. It's because it's one image, right? But I'm really close to using the secure pipeline template, and then I actually set up a GitHub. GitHub has a federated identity thing that works really well for security and using GitHub, and that's what I also set up. I just need to finish up trying to get that working so we can kind of publish it, and then from there it'll actually be really easy to just feather out all the test cases. But yeah,
do you want to wait for this PR to get merged, or what do you want to do? I think that's
I'm sorry, I came in late. Which PR is this? The
one. So this is about I think Bin, you can describe it.
Oh, okay. The updating, okay, to V11. Okay. Yeah, okay, cool. Support for, so yeah, this is it gonna, so do we know if this, like if somebody signs something with the, let's say 090.
So I was doing some testing today because I have two notation clients. I have the 0.10 one and the 0.90, and the 0.10 signatures would not verify inside Ratify. So
Right.
I went back in and signed, took the image out, put a new image back, signed the new image with 0.90. And I was able, but I signed it with notation 10 again. So even though I created the certs with 09, I was able to sign the certs with 010, but certain things wouldn't work, like list doesn't work and ORIS client doesn't work, to discover things because of, I guess. So I tested that signing with a version 10 notation client, but using certs generated by version 09. And that didn't work in Ratify. So, I don't know if it,
Okay.
I can't test it any other way because of my restrictions.
I gotcha. Yeah. So Bin, can you maybe comment? Do we know, like, have you tested like Ratify using this PR with like version 11?
Yes. Yep. Actually, I did a test and it works except the spam verifier. And I think we know there is something wrong with the spam verifier, but it's not related to the notation Go version.
Right. Yeah. That's the one that Akash filed. Mm-hmm. Okay. Then, yeah, I mean, I think we should definitely merge this ASAP. And I think we need to consider what other PRs can we merge and then probably cut another point release, because this will actually fix the kind of end-to-end story that we need to keep everything working with the notation verifier part.
Bin, I had a question about this PR.
Yes.
So now that the new notation CLI, when you do the cert gen, it sticks the root cert and the leaf cert in the .cert file that it generates. So when a user for Ratified goes through that process, do they need to copy both certs now into the values.yaml file? Or because we use that to generate the secret, which then generates the file that gets mounted into Ratify's pod. So I think they have to put both now, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually,
is that reflected? And is that well? Because I know that because I thought we put in the ability to override the leaf the chain. You'd only have to have the insert versus the ones that all the way up the chain. I thought we made that enhancement.
Yeah, we only need to put the root cert.
Yeah, only the root cert, right? Yeah, not all three. Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you're looking at that, which I was looking at there earlier today where I had 2 certs, which one would that be? I don't remember it saying leaf or root. Maybe I missed that, I guess.
Did you make it using like the notation generate test?
Yeah.
I think the only way I think to know is to pass it into like OpenSSL and to look at it. At least that's what I did, because I had the same problem when I started using the 2 cert thing, and I was like, okay, well, what do I need? Because they're just catted together in the file. So I separated them and then looked at them with OpenSSL and was like, oh, okay, this one is the root. So it's kind of funky.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to have a better user experience for that. I'm hoping that's not the way it has to work going forward. But
would that be feedback to notation generate test?
Probably. I mean, it works. Yeah, notation generated test works well for notation. It's just if you wanted only the root to use somewhere else, then you have to kind of figure it out yourself. I don't know if anybody would use the generate test the way that we're using it, except for us. But they do have some spec in the Notary project around like the requirements to be considered a leaf cert. Like you technically, according to their spec, you don't need 2. But if you don't have 2, then your root has to also conform to some other requirements. And I don't think generate test just makes 2. So it'd be worthwhile.
So right now, generate test giving you one single bundled PEM file or something like that with both the keys.
Yeah, you basically
and then you have to handcraft the keys out of that.
Well, so the ones that I saw, you can see the demarcation between the certs, right?
Not being insert, right, like that.
Yeah, you can see that, but I personally didn't see any labels that tell me what's a leaf and what's a root. And while we're on this topic, once I figure out which one to pick out of there, would root be the one I want to use, or would leaf be okay?
Okay, we need to sort this out.
Yeah, you would technically, I think you could use the leaf, but you're supposed to use the root.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
That's good.
Because the leaf might rotate, so
yeah, that's what I was thinking. I wanted to make sure. Okay,
I was gonna say in your testing, I think I'd have to try it, but in your testing, I think if you use the leaf in your cert pool, it would work, because you would have a cert that your signature changed back to, but you're technically supposed to use the root.
Goodness, how can David, what do you want to do about this?
We know this is a challenge. It's just that this is not like a surprise.
Okay,
oh my gosh, oh my gosh, this is like an amazing experience. Like we have all these. It's like wow, it's like no, it's just that this is what happens. Like a new feature gets added, i.e., trust store, trust policy, which there's a lot of good reasons for that. Obviously, it has a lot of power and capabilities, but what happens is as we're getting the latest greatest bits, it takes time for the experience part to like catch up, right? It's like you're getting the plumbing, but we're not getting the experience part. And there are backlog items to make this a better story, right? But it'll take some time.
Yeah. Okay. We have good pipes, but we haven't connected them all, is what you're saying.
Yeah. You've got the power. You just, have to edit some JSON and kind of hack around a bit.
No, because my concern is we've done the cert bundling and all manual steps before for ACR and stuff like that. It's highly error prone for somebody to get an end-to-end working. I mean,
right.
People who are even like really good with OpenSSL gymnastics, right? It just seems a little.
Yep. No, I hear you. Yeah, there's short-term things that we can do to make that easier, and then there's longer-term things. So, yeah, we have a number of backlog items to try and help fix that. but yeah, I also think just from a Ratify perspective, I mean, this is where, you know, again, I've harped on this, but I kind of have to keep trying to with the vision of eventually, you know, we have the CRD, we have a CRD that wraps the connector to, let's say, a key vault, whether that's AKV or whatever, you know, Amazon's key vault thing is, right? That there's a way to kind of pull down the certificates that are all in that store, right? Whether a customer wants to use a full chain of, you know, all the certs in the whole chain or just the root one or whatever, right? Because notation is using a trust, like a certificate store, right? And then ideally it also is accompanied by, or a trust policy, right? That's a lot to manage, and trying to do that manually with Kubernetes YAML is a no thank you, right? Like like it doesn't matter how great of an experience we have on notation. At the end of the day, a customer is going to need to update certificates somewhere, and they're going to need to have a policy that's associated with it somewhere. And ideally, that places a secured vault of sorts, and that. Okay, that's where people can make the edits, and then Ratify just, you know, just detects whatever changes and then just uses that. So we don't know, somebody doesn't have to sit there and, you know, every single cert change is another Kubernetes apply.
Right. So
does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So there's no immediate action item right now. Somebody's got to go figure out what cert they need to inject from the two certs that notation was generated.
So actually, if you are using the latest notation CLI, it would just generate one cert for you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's ways to, like, short term, right? I mean, there's ways to, like, I think we just probably need, like, maybe an update to the doc to say, here's how you can, you know, here's the cert you could use, right? In the flow. And I think Finman might actually already, I'd have to check his article, but I think that might already have it in there. The update, the PR that's waiting. So we could probably, like, check Finman's PR on the Azure doc, and then we also probably should have an update in the actual Ratify doc, just to make sure people know, you know, the right way to, you know, what cert to add.
Okay, so let's get this merged. I think that's what we agree on.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Bin, I have this doc on the screen. So I'm hearing a little bit of echo. I think it's gone now. Would you be able to update some of these steps? Like, these steps are still referring to the old notation version?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I already updated the quick.cli doc. I'll update it as well.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you. The next item on the, I think that's everything on our PR list. The presentation item, I currently just have the store and verifier CRD demo. We do have a lot of people on the call today, relatively. Do people have other agenda items to cover? So I just have the list so I know to allocate time for each topic. Are there anyone else wants to cover today?
It's not high priority, but kind of following up on last week's talk about TLS, both from the gatekeeper external data provider perspective, but also from any service to service based plugins. We actually have a working example utilizing utilizing self-signed certs generated by the cert manager, so that they're automatically created as Kubernetes secrets. There's some additional loops that would have to be jumped through because you have to copy the bundle as a base 64 encoded string into the external data provider when you register Ratify. But has there been any discussion, and maybe this is all captured in the existing issue, but about whether self-signed certs are something, whether there were plans to allow people to bring their own TLS certs, or what the thought process around this was?
I don't think we had much discussion about the certs. Akash, were you able to do any investigation?
Very minimal before I switched to the concurrency stuff. But what I understood was that, so Gatekeeper, I guess, has their own certs that they're their own CA that you can, I think, access. The docs show that you can access that CA and use that directly. And then if you wanted, you could even use that CA to sign, I think, the Ratify service.
So yeah,
well,
that's the case. That would require the namespace Ratify to be installed in the same, or deployed to the same namespace as Gatekeeper.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
In order to access their volume mount, and that's how you would do the mutual TLS. So we didn't completely table that, but we went down the route of just enabling TLS from the Ratify side, so that Gatekeeper could use, so that, but it would be one way, not mutual.
I see. And what is there a concern for? So I guess Ratify is an external data provider. Would it be okay keeping it in the same namespace as Gatekeeper?
Considering it is something that I mean, that's what the docs were written to suggest.
Yeah.
So I take it based off of even the original design doc that was acceptable. I just wanted to make sure that Ratify, like, that's obviously okay from their perspective, from the Gatekeeper perspective, but maybe not every external data provider would be okay with that. But
I would just say, like, right now we're at no TLS. So in my opinion, self-signed TLS is good, but I agree, like, thinking about if people want one would be another step of improvement. Whether that's in the same PR or not, I don't know. But
so
yeah.
Okay, then we can we'll get what we currently have. I'm attending on behalf of Matt. He's been putting together the code, so that'll be in the PR this week. Just getting kind of the more basic a self-signed cert and not mutual, so not being deployed so no namespace deployment changes or anything like that. This is just for enabling TLS on Ratify and then providing that fingerprint. But that'll be by the end of this week, and we should also have a PR ready for review about with proto files for the 2 plugins and 2 types of plugins as well. And that would, hopefully we'll get that in by the end of this week.
Thank you, Cara. Thanks for the update.
Thanks, Cara.
Okay, I will give a quick demo of the work in progress store and verifier CRD. Let me bring up my VS Code. Make sure the environment is clean. So basically in this PR, we're converting the configuration file into CRDs. Currently, our configuration file contains verifier store policy and executor properties. But I think, Cara, you said there'll be some changes coming into policy, and or we'll be moving it around a little bit, and we'll have the orchestrator level properties. So at the moment, I've just converted the store and the verifier into CRDs. So currently I don't have Ratify installed, and I'm just going to do some get CRD command to make sure my environment is clean. So doing get CRD command to make sure the store and verifier CRD type does not exist on my system. And Eric, thanks for the pointer for installing CRDs in the pre-step. So I did take a look at Gatekeeper's implementation, and it just worked. So it's very magical. So I have my local value file pointed to my own repository. So I'm going to deploy Ratify from local charts. Okay, so that's deployed. So CRD should have been installed as a part of the pre-install steps. So we'll do a get again. Okay, so there is the store, and here is the verifier. So these are defined in the Ratify charts. So these are just the basic store and the license verifier. So they were getting installed when Ratify is installed. And now I will apply the constraints. Okay, now we have the Gatekeeper constraints. I'm going to run our demo image, and this is expected to fail because we currently only have the verifier license checker configured. Yep, so it says subject failed verification. I'm just going to check the logs to make sure that it failed because of the verifier. So I'm going to look at the logs of this pod. Okay. So the error we see in the log is no referrers found for this artifact. It's actually, the error message needs to be improved because if we have fetched an artifact, but if we didn't find the verifier that can validate this artifact, we currently give the no referrers found error message. So yeah, like from the log, we can see the digest and stuff. It's correctly resolved. So now we will configure the notary verifier here. So currently I have a sample notary verifier, and I will apply that. Didn't copy that correctly. Okay, so we just created, we just applied the notary verifier, and now we can run the signed image again. And let's look at the logs to make sure the signature was validated. Yeah, and it's showing the verifier was detected correctly and we were able to validate the image. So the deployment was successful. Yeah, so that is the end of my working in progress demo. I need to clean up the PR to handle, to do more error handling and fix the charts. Any questions?
This is super cool, Susan. Awesome.
Yeah, way cool.
Thank you. It's not very fancy, like didn't add any feature, just aiming for parity with our configuration file. But it's way more convenient to be able to interact with the CRD than editing the config.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, it's awesome. I see like this is an amazing foundation for all kinds of like additional things we can do after this. This is great.
Super excited. Super excited. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for all the confirmation that we're on the same page. And my next step is to clean up the PR. And things are pretty basic at the moment. Like I'm leaving the orchestration layer pretty empty. So the modification is mainly in the manager file. So we used to, our Docker file have this entry point to spin up the HTTP server and listen for the verify commands. And now I've added another entry point for the, to spin up the CRD controller that would also spin up a HTTP server. So yeah, I will tag everyone once the PR is ready. Okay, that's the end of my demo. So I will bring back the agenda page. Okay, we have 20 more minutes on the scheduled call. Any other items that people want to cover?
Sorry, I was a little late. I just wanted to make sure. So all those, the PRs that are up there, I think we're good to basically merge then. All the 4 bullets you have.
Yeah, short summary. For the Go routine, Akash have responded to Binbin's comments. So Binbin would will need to sign off on them. And the wrapper for the HTTP response, Eric is pending a doc update, so we'll be able to merge that.
Okay. Yeah, I think
probably
I was
this
just
week.
thinking. Yeah, I was thinking just like the release notes, maybe just adding a section there. Release steps. It can be just like a one-liner, right?
Got it. Okay, so we don't have any documentation with the HTTP response today.
I mean, so this we have a policy authoring doc, and all I need to do is add update the response examples in that. So
well, if you're updating the, I guess, if you wanted to check, you write a policy based on a certain version of the schema, then I guess that would be two places. That one would be obviously a little more than a one-liner, but yeah, I think from a release standpoint, though, you would want to just, because it's a manual update, there's no you just want to, when whoever goes through the release, they'd want to just check and say, does the schema update at all, so you can bump the version number, right? So that's what I was thinking there.
Oh yeah. I don't, for as far as like development docs, like we don't have anything, so I'd have to add something. But for the like consumer facing docs, it should be fairly simple.
Well, no, it wouldn't be. So I was just thinking, like, for us though, when we do the release process, we would just like have a one-liner note in our release. There's a release process document right in the root, and then just adding a one-liner there to say, make sure that if the schema has changed, that you bump that version in the code.
Okay. Yeah, I'll put a line in there.
Okay. Cool. Sorry. Continue onward. Thank you.
So we said we'll just merge the pool secrets modification for the Helm chart. I just saw this message that says the base branch requires all commits to be signed.
Yeah. I mean, I've set this up as a policy. We can. It's a kind of a secure supply chain type of thing. I mean, this is back to the group, I guess, if we care right now to try and enforce that. I mean, because this is in Deis Labs right now, we don't allow DCO, which makes it easy for people to kind of have a one-liner. So I'm open to back to the group. I mean, we can either just merge it, override it. We can go back to the person and say, please sign your commits. I don't know. What are folks' thoughts?
The CLA passed on top, so I might be okay.
I'm sorry, what?
The CLA has passed on top, right? So, or maybe you can just tell them, just go sign the commit. It's okay. I mean, I sign my comments.
Oh,
So
I see the all CLA requirements, man. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I feel like signing releases is like I typically see people signing releases. I do other projects enforce signing every commit. I don't know if I've seen that before, but maybe I'm not looking around
Yeah,
enough.
notation does it actually. I think Helm does it as well. But yeah, I mean that's fine. The CLA, yeah, you're right. The CLA requirements are met. I think we can just like override it. I guess it's fine for now. Maybe just put a note like, hey, thanks for your contribution. Future, please sign commits or something. I don't know. We don't really have that advertised to anybody anywhere, so we can't really blame somebody. And there's no like bot or anything that says you should sign your commits. So I think it's probably not. It's a little heavy-handed right now to force people to do it.
no, but I think the checklist tells you that how to sign also if you really want to. I think it's okay to enforce it, but if it's really important, we can take it, or we can give the person some time to maybe sign it. We don't have to immediately merge it, right?
No, there's no rush on this one.
Okay. So let's give the person some time to maybe just figure out whether they can sign the commits.
Okay. Somebody just wants to reply then and just say, hey, could you sign your commits and we can merge it.
Does this doc tell them how to sign it?
Yeah, I think everybody goes through this in the initial stage, just getting your environment set up properly. I think that's fine.
Yeah. Okay. I can leave that comment after this meeting.
I mean, so you folks are signing your commits, right? If not, we
I am.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually also they're cool. There's two parts, right? So signing is there's a signing in the GPG key, right? Mm-hmm. There's both parts, and so I do both, and you can set it up with VS Code. It takes the GPG part takes a little more work, but the -S is like kind of, I don't know. To me, that's that's all this is asking for, but to me, that's not that earth shattering.
Yeah.
You know? It's just like signed by my name, right? Like whereas the GPG part is like a little more secure because you actually have to have the corresponding private public key, and you have to have a password to sign the commit and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, I think it's good if folks can set it up.
Yeah.
Does GitHub do some amount of this for you?
No, you have to sign with both, like what David is saying, small s and cap and uppercase s. You need to do both and manually.
Yeah, I could send an article if folks want, because I've actually had to go through this myself and I had to set it up again on another machine. So if folks wanna, I could share a link.
Yeah, I was just looking through the commit history and noticed that the ones that I have merged to main have a little verified box, but I haven't been explicitly signing anything.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I was like, I don't know how I'm getting this for free right now. I'll have to go check and see if I have some Git alias or something, but I haven't been trying to, but apparently I've been complying.
I think there's actually a command where you can set your global config so it automatically signs every commit. So that's another option.
Yeah, if you use VS Code, there's a way to make it so that it automatically, and if you use the UI or whatever, it'll automatically like do the right thing for you for both the commit signing and the code signing part.
Cool. Good to know. Yeah, David, if you can share a link, I can post it in the comment as well.
Okay, cool.
Yep, and the last one is the notation library. So I think where Bin will respond to Akash's comment. Very close to merging.
Yeah, I'll do
that. Is Jimmy still on the line?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool. Right on. Yeah. Other than your woes with the notation pieces, I mean, how on the AWS side has everything been going there?
So I was trying to do end-to-end testing just to verify that the AWS ECR basic auth component that I wrote was working. And it does look like it's working because I get back the image digest from the test environment that I'm using. I had to override our API endpoints because it's not something that's in production yet, right? So, and I'm on the fence whether I'm going to keep the override ability in. I'm thinking I might submit a PR that allows the override to stay so that if ever in the future you need to override endpoints, you can do that. But right now I'm the last end part of end-to-end testing I need is just to do the verification. So at least I'm able to authenticate with the auth provider to get into the remote ECR repo because it's in a different endpoint. Same account, just a different endpoint. So I'm really close to end-to-end.
Okay, so it sounds like no real red flags at this point, per se.
No, I was worried that the code that I wrote, because I was only able to get it tested so far, without an environment that allowed me to both find the image and verify it. But right now, the only thing I'm left doing is verifying, which is not necessarily an auth thing as much as it is a notary library thing right now, I think.
Cool. Sounds good. Thanks for the update.
Yep.
Okay, before we wrap up, Toddy, Xinghe, do you have any questions?
It looks all good for me. No question for now. Thank you very much.
Nothing from me, Susan. Thanks for asking.
Cool. Let's see if Teja's also on the call. Teja, do you have anything?
Nothing at this point, Susan. I'm just catching up on what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah, let us know if you have any questions.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, cool. I guess that's everything. Thanks for joining, everyone. Have a good week.
Thanks all.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.